Hey everybody, welcome to Horizon episode 28, a podcast empowering women to heal, overcome trauma, and embrace change. Through our community, we strive to inspire women to create a future where they lead with love, confidence, courage, and help break boundaries and reach new horizons. Hi everybody. I know we took a little break, but we're back, finishing the year strong with episode 28. Um, I promise you guys that for 2026, I will remember our intro. It's just your girl can only remember a certain amount. My capacity is limited, is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, today I want to kind of reintroduce myself a little bit for all of our new followers and kind of go through 2025 and kind of catch you guys up with what I've been going through and how I've been dealing with life this year. I know that we kind of do touch up on that here and there, but I feel like it's been a while. So once again, hi guys, my name is Iseen, like I seen you for all of our new followers. And I am a mother of two. I am an entrepreneur in the beauty industry, and I have other little business ventures as well. And if you haven't listened to some of my other episodes, I am a domestic abuse survivor, and I do touch on that. I have a couple episodes, and our last two episodes, actually 26 and 27, were dedicated to Domestic Abuse Awareness Month back in October. So it has been about a month since we filmed, but we are back. Like I said, we're going to end the year strong. So let's see, how should we start it today? 2025 has been a roller coaster. I'll be honest with you guys. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, mental clarity. It has been, since leaving my relationship, we're going on 3 years now. It has been mentally and emotionally the hardest year for me. A lot of things have transpired this year that have been out of my control, but that have also allowed me to grow in a lot of different areas in my life. I want to say 2023 was like trying to, how would I say it? 2023 was me fighting for my freedom. 2024 was adjusting to the new life, outside of the chaos. It was a year of, how would I describe it? I like to call it my crash out year. I seen was outside 2024. I seen was dating 2024. I seen was doing things that normally I wouldn't do. I'll be honest and transparent with you guys. Getting to know myself in different levels. But I was also numbing and avoiding the actual healing. I was healing, but it wasn't how this year was healing. And I know that we come back to healing a lot, but it's a roller coaster, guys. Healing is never ending, but it's been very different this year. This year, I've actually been sitting with myself. I've been sitting with my emotions. I've been sitting with my feelings. I've been feeling it. Motherhood has not been easy. Adjusting to being a full-time mom has been an adjustment. And just learning my traumas, my triggers, dealing with things that, like I said, were out of my control. And I feel like I am definitely a different woman than I was last year or the year prior in every single way. I've learned like I said, I've learned my traumas. I've learned my children's traumas. I've learned triggers, their triggers. This year, I'll be honest with you guys, has been very, it's been a year of challenges and motherhood. But it's not all bad. It's been a lot of growth as a woman, as a mother. I've had a lot of, like I've said, moments of clarity where things make sense to me, and I have the capacity to understand what's going on. So I've gotten a lot into, how would I say it? Well, you guys know I'm in therapy. I have my daughters in therapy. I've learned a lot about neuroscience because, like I've told you guys before, I felt when I left my relationship that I felt broken. So I tried everything and anything to fix, because, you know, I felt broken, try to fix myself, right? So I've gotten very close to God, right? I've gotten very close to God. I've really sat with my traumas, my triggers, and it hasn't been easy. Like I was telling my therapist, it seems like I work better in survival and under pressure. And she was like, yeah, well, that's because you were in survival for so long that that's how your body functioned. And now that you're out of it and your body feels safe, it doesn't know what this is. And she's not lying, because I'll be honest with you guys, life, I can't say it's perfect, but I'm happy. I'm at peace. I feel safe. And that is something that I'm not used to. So it really took me a minute to understand that feeling, to sit in it and be like, this is my life. My life doesn't consist chaos. My life doesn't consist abuse. My life is, I have freedom. I am able to dictate how I want my life to be and my children's. And that took a bit to adjust to be honest with you. And I didn't understand it until I started to look more into it. I'm learning that the type of person that I am is, if I don't know something, I want to educate myself on it. And I want to know what it is that I'm feeling or going through. And I know that that's not always the answer, but it helps me in a sense. It kind of guides me. And then the same thing with my children. Like my children are going through their own healing, and it hasn't been easy. I have 2 daughters. I have a 15-year-old and then I have a 9-year-old, and they have their own healing journey, and it's very different for both. So motherhood has taught me how to, I guess, parent each one individually. And I've gotten to know, like I said, you know, more in depth of their traumas and their triggers. So it's allowed me to be a better mother. It's allowed me to, it hasn't been easy, okay? Understand their outburst or where they're coming from emotionally. But I can tell you this, that this year has definitely strengthened our relationship more than ever. And it's also allowed me to be more present for them. Prior to me leaving my relationship, I used to work a lot. So I'm an entrepreneur. Like I said, I am an esthetician. I specialize in lash extensions. I recently, earlier this year, added waxing. And I also do brow laminations, brow waxing, things like that. I used to teach that, educate that back when I used to have my studio. So, a little background on me. I started back in 2018, became very successful very quickly, was able to open up my own studio back in 2019, 2020. COVID hit. That was probably my most successful year. So I was able to actually expand my studio and add rentals. So I had independent contract artists under me. Some of them I educated and also mentored. I love what I do, but I'll be honest with you guys, it has my healing journey and the restart of my life has taken a huge toll on my business. And basically, what I'm trying to say is I used to work a lot back then. I worked 60 plus hours. I also, not only did I lash, but I also educated. So I was a lash educator. I've mentored over 150 students. I love what I do. I've always had a connection with women, and I feel like that's why I've also been so successful, because I do believe that not only does your work speak for you, but who you are as a person and your personality and your professionalism is also what attracts and keeps clients. I love business, but these past 3 years haven't been my best, especially because I've been going through so much emotionally and mentally that my capacity is full. And I feel like this year really gave me an insight on that. It gave me an insight on slowing down and focusing on what is really, truly important. Not that business is not, but it gave me a different perspective. And it did my business has taken a huge toll. So I had to close. When I separated, I closed my studios down. My studio, BXBR studios, were closed. And to be honest with you, as sad and devastating as that was the best move I could have done, because I was not mentally going to be able to keep them afloat. I have so much going on in my life that there was no way that I would have been able to be present for the business. And I became an independent artist again, got my own suite, and I've been doing it without the stress of being the owner of the studios. And that helped me out tremendously. But financially, I took a huge hit. I went from having, the first year, I want to say I kept my clients, which I'm very grateful. And I love you guys all for sticking with me through those tough times. And looking back, I was a nervous wreck. I feel sorry for you guys because I know that it's a transfer of energy, but thank you so much for everybody that stayed with me. And so closing my studios was a blessing in disguise, and it had to happen. And I'm just grateful that I closed them off the way I did and didn't really lose much in the moment. And then last year, I stayed afloat with a lot of my regulars, and it was more of, I seen understanding her independence, and I seen understanding her freedom. And I think that every woman, after leaving a relationship, especially in a relationship that they were with for so long, we go through this. And what I mean by that is, like, we go out with friends, we get to know what's out there. How would I say it? I had a lot of fun. Last year, I did have a lot of fun. I got into dating. The first year, I didn't have the mental capacity for that. But the second year, I opened up myself to dating. And learned how to handle being in the court system consistently, not like the first year. The first year was crazy. And this second year kind of eased me a little bit more into it. It wasn't as crazy, but it was still crazy. This year, we still have court. That's still going on. But now it's every 3 to 4 months. So it's not as crazy as it has been the first 2 years. So back to the business. My business did take a toll. I was able to stay afloat within the last 2 years. This year, it wasn't that I was going out. It wasn't that Icing was getting to know her freedom. It was more of a lot of things transpired early on in the year, emotionally with my children, where I had to be more present, and also adjusting to being a full-time single mom, fully hands-on, because my family the past 2 years helped me out a lot. This year was more of just my responsibility. They still helped me out, but not as much. So it was more of being present emotionally, mentally, and seeing their traumas along with my traumas. And it has been very hard. I don't know how to describe this. Let's see. I'm going to try my best. Okay. But I've learned also, we've been in therapy for 2 years now. And I've just tried my best to help our healing. And along the way, I also, like I said, I got close with my spiritual, I've gotten close with God, and I've gone through a spiritual awakening as well. What I used to believe in, I don't believe in anymore. So that took me a while to understand what I was going through and the transition of that. What else? So all of that has taken a huge toll on me emotionally and mentally, to the point where it's affected my business because I haven't been able to be here present. My mental capacity is on overload, and everything that I used to thrive under, I don't anymore. And I think it's because, from the way that my therapist explained it, is your body was used to survival and used to the pressure, that now any little thing is too much for me and I can't function like that. I can't deliver how I used to deliver. And that took me also time to understand, because, how would I say it? Icing is used to working and thriving under pressure. Icing is used to working and thriving under survival. That I think that's how I built my business. Now, let me rephrase that. Icing built her business under pressure and under survival. And I seem to not be able to do that anymore, because I'm not in that space anymore. I'm not in a space where I have to run to my business to hide from my reality. And that has also taken a toll on me, because I'm like, how could I do so good like this? And now that my body feels safe, I feel safe, I'm content where I'm at. This is where we're at, and I just can't seem to focus on my business. So I had to really take a step back and look at, what can you focus on? What can you prioritize? And my children and my sanity were what I can. And also, everything that happened with Gloria and everything that just has transpired this year really took a huge toll on me, where it made me really look at a lot of things. And it not only did it put me in a very emotional state, but it also allowed me to grow through that. And I also kind of got involved with more DV projects that I thought I could take. And in the moment I did, but after I would feel it. And I feel like that's why I took that month break through November, because I knew that after those past 2 episodes that we did, those were, I'm sure, very hard to hear, but also I feel like they were educational and informative. And I personally did enjoy them in the moment, but after they hit triggers that I don't know how to explain, just emotionally took me out. And like I said, this year, my business has taken a huge, huge hit. And it's not because of laziness or because I haven't been wanting to, but honestly, I'm at my capacity of what I can take. And motherhood has been my priority as well as I've seen. And I've learned to be selfish. I've spoken about this before, in a good way, in a really, really good way. I have 2 daughters that have 2 different personalities that require a lot of me. There's been changes that have happened that they're adjusting to as well. My oldest one just turned 15 in November, and along with her hormones and along with her traumas and along with her, the new adjustments of school, so now she's in high school, and they see dad in therapy every other week or so. So I realized she needs me a lot. And it hasn't been easy, because I also realized that my children, like I've spoken before, have witnessed a lot of trauma. And this year has really reflected on me on the type of household we used to live in. And it's very traumatizing. And I see the way that, I guess, our nervous system works is when you're on high, it doesn't register everything that you've been through or that you've seen. And when it feels calm and safe is when everything comes out. And I don't even know if I'm explaining this right, but this is how I can describe it. And now that there's peace and there's calmness, it's loud for us because we have so much going on. And it's crazy to say, but I look at my oldest daughter, and me and her have very similar healing journeys. Very different, but similarities. And I'm able to relate to her, but at the same time, it's hard because she is a mixture of me and a mixture of her father. So that's been an awakening. I, as a grown woman, have triggers, have PTSD, and do have flashbacks. And that's happened to me a lot this year. And she does too. Both of my daughters do, because they talk to me about it. And it just has educated me in how hard it is for survivors after they leave. And I know that we've had episodes about this before, but I want to get into like the trauma of the children that have witnessed a domestic abuse relationship, and my children witnessed alcohol abuse, substance abuse. They witnessed abuse. They witnessed a lot of things that I couldn't protect them from or protect myself from. And now I see how their brain registered all that. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but so right now I'm in the stage of healing myself from all those traumas and triggers and doing it with my daughters as well. And that has been such an emotional toll on me that I've only been able to do what I can. And I've also learned not only that, but I've learned my nervous system, my children's nervous system. I've learned that I'm not going to be able to do everything. And it's okay to sit down and say no to things. It's okay to sit down and say I can't because I don't feel good. So it's been a very, very in-depth healing, as well as my oldest one has triggered a lot of flashbacks to when I was her age. And what I mean by that is like, I remember being her age. And like I've said before, I'm the oldest of four. And I had to grow up very quick because my mom was a single mom of four. And I had to be her right hand. So I took care of my siblings. And I think it's finally registered this year how, I guess, traumatic that's been. Because to be honest with you, like I stated before, I never even realized that I had all these traumas until now. And last year, I feel like I had a lot of childhood traumas that I didn't know I was aware of. And now I was able to work through them and I got closer with my mom, with my siblings. And then this year has been that plus my traumas of the relationship and just overall. My daughter, my oldest daughter challenges me a lot. And I remember being like that at her age. And I am trying my best to, I feel like the way that our parents grew up is they grew up on survival, right? And the way that my generation, at least, is growing up and parenting is we're becoming more emotionally aware of our traumas and we're trying to break those cycles. And I'm definitely going through that with myself and my children. My parenting is very different than the way that my mom raised us. So I do have a lot of like backlash when it comes down to my family because I'm not raising my children the way that we were raised or the way that I was there with my mom to raise us, I guess. So it's that, and then it's being more understanding and learning. I see a lot of me and my ex in my oldest daughter. And I see a lot of similar characteristics that she saw from her dad. Because I worked so much, my daughter spent a lot more time with their father than they did with me. And I feel like that's why my oldest one endured a little bit more traumas because she was around her father more. And I now understand that, and I understand how that has impacted her from her, impacted her emotionally to psychologically to her nervous system. And I've educated myself, and along the way, I try to educate her too, to make her aware of certain patterns and behaviors that she may have had that are similar to what I used to have when I was young, or, to her, like her dad. And it's been a process of having a lot of patience and understanding and really showing her that she's safe. The thing with people like survivors like us is that if we don't feel safe, that trickles into everything. And I feel like that's just overall in general. Safety is key in any relationship overall. And if there's no safety, it can really affect you. And these past 3 years have been a lot of me having to show my children that I am there. I am a safe space. I am a loving space. I will not harm them and I will not leave them. And they each have gone through their own healing and their own outbursts differently. And like my little one has been more on the sense of like, she has nightmares, for example, or I've had to take her to the doctor multiple times because she's had little anxiety attacks and things like that. She's gotten better this year, has been way better. But she also had to adjust because now I have my oldest one down here in school with me. And my little one spends a little bit more time on her own with my mom or my siblings. And she's had to adjust to, because my little one is very codependent and very, what's the word? She's very codependent and she's very, she can't be alone because she doesn't feel safe. So that's been an adjustment because she's been used to having her sister there. Even if it's after school, she's there. So her sister has been more with me. And after school, I'll pick her up and she'll come to work with me. So sometimes we get home late depending on the day. So just her having to be alone has been a journey of healing for her and adjusting that she's still safe, even if we're not there. Learning how to be not so codependent because she does need to have somebody there at all times, my little one. I've learned their traumas. I've learned that my little one is, hold on, I wrote this down because I really needed to, educate myself on it so I know how to, okay. So my little one's traumas is fear of disappointing or upsetting. She overly apologizes as an emotional survival, fawn response, which is people pleasing. She's very sensitive to tone and conflict, needs reassurance and gentle correction, and builds confidence through calm structure and clarity. So I kind of did a little list of each one of my child's traumas so I know how to parent. It makes it easier for me to understand because my brain's all over the place. And I also did like a little note of what works for them so I know how to speak to them individually. So basically Rose is people-pleasing, fear-based on sensitivity. Bella is more like, let's see, I'll tell you guys right now. My oldest, Bella, they both have ADHD in their own way, but my oldest is hypervigilant. She has trust issues, so she expects people to let her down. And she's actually talked to me about that before. And she's told me, like, it's hard for me to trust people because I expect them to mess up. And we had an in-depth conversation about that where I told her that's not healthy because your nervous system is already calling it, you know? She definitely tests people to feel safe, for sure. She's starting to take accountability, but that's taking us a minute because she tries to avoid it. And she has sensory issues with noise, texture, and smell sensitivities, which I didn't know how big it was until this year and how much that affected her. So I've learned once I kind of got that down, it's made things easier for me to deal with her because I know how to approach her. And then she has a thing where I mean, I feel like we all do, we have dopamine hits and things like that. And hers don't come in like the healthiest form. And we're learning on rewiring their nervous system to where they feel safe, they feel heard, they feel loved, and just learning to deal with their traumas. So it's been a lot for me overall because I'm going through my own, and it's similar but very different. And I'm a grown woman who's never felt all these emotions before, and to sit here and sit in it and feel it has been challenging, but it's been healing at the same time. Sometimes I want to go run somewhere, but I just go run to the gym. And I've also taken on hobbies instead of, me going out like I used to last year, which I don't regret. And I had a lot of fun. Now I do more peaceful things. Like I've gotten into roller skating this year. If I feel like it's too heavy, I'll go and sit by the ocean and have some time to think and clear my mind. I know that if I'm overstimulated, which has been happening a lot lately this year, I learned to take a break and step back from whatever it is I'm doing and get myself together. I'm learning how to regulate my emotions. And let me tell you one thing about healing and coming from a place of chaos is learning how to regulate your emotions of what you were used to for so long is the hardest part about all this. The reacting to certain things. I can't react how I used to react when I was in my relationship because that's not healthy. And having to rewire my brain, having to rewire what I used to, my patterns and my behaviors, or what I've done all my life has been a challenge. And I'm being completely honest and transparent. It's taking a toll on me because it's not that easy. But now I learned to handle things differently than I used to back in the day. I've learned to allow things to be. So this year has really just been a thriving year of becoming a full-time mom. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I've gotten closer with my children. I've because this is a thing, because I worked so much when I was with my ex, I lacked being a present mom because I used to use work as an escape. And because I used to escape to work, I wasn't really home. Therefore, I wasn't a present mom. And I know that I've said this before in other episodes, but I realized the damage that did to my children, me being absent, especially with my oldest, because she's very outspoken and she tells me exactly how she feels. It took a toll on her because I wasn't there to protect her, number one, and two, I wasn't there overall. So I've had to do a lot of mending with my children, and I've had to prove myself to them that I am not that person that I used to be. And it's gone to the point where my children have actually, and they feel safe enough to have conversations with me randomly of what they had been thinking or were thinking. And I remember like the most recent one was I was sitting there having dinner, and my little one started telling me things that I literally don't remember ever doing, but also I wasn't proud of what she was saying. She did say that I used to be a very bitter, angry person. And I do remember being angry. I remember being bitter. I wasn't in a place where I was loved, appreciated. I was abused. So I can see that. but I don't remember taking it out on my children. And I guess I did. And they did bring it up. And it was tough to hear the truth because I don't remember that. But of course, I took accountability and I apologized and I told them the reality, that's not who I am anymore. And I was not in a good headspace. And so I've learned to take, as much as it hurts to be called out by your children and being told you weren't the most present or loving or happy mother, it's also helped them and it's helped me as a person grow and as a mother. And they have those conversations with me a lot where they'll just, something comes up and they'll just tell me and I'll have to think about it. And, you know, the conversation's had. And so I've had to do a lot of mending with my children and I've had to prove myself to them in many different ways. And my oldest one has been a challenge and we've overcome a lot already. But I know it's going to take time. You know, coming from a certain household comes with a lot. And the first 2 years, I was so focused on court and so focused on, you know, my freedom that I was also involved. I've been very involved with my children, but not as much as I have this year. And this year, I want to say, broke me to the point of, like, I've never been broken before. Like I thought that I went through the worst the first year. Then no, this year has probably been like internally, emotionally, and psychologically the hardest year. And it's shown me not my weaknesses, but it's shown me where I was lacking, but it's also shown me how much I've grown and evolved. And I've done everything to educate myself to help heal me and my children. But that's just something that in time, it happens. So 2025 has been a year of emotional growth, psychological evolution, spiritually awakening, and learned to handle motherhood like never before. And I'm proud of myself. There's more work to do, but I feel like this year has been a year of growth in many areas. And I'm looking forward to 2026 where I will have more, it won't be as strenuous and as hard, I feel, as this year. I've evolved in many ways, and I've learned where to apply my strength and where to apply my love, and where I've learned to create boundaries, and I've learned to be able to walk away and know that not everything needs a reaction. So this year has been it's been a hard year, but it's been a good year. And it's been a lot of growth. So I hope that this episode kind of helped a little bit. We kind of got into it a little bit of like, you know, motherhood, a little bit behind the scenes in business. 2026, it'll be a thriving year for me. My focus is the things that I haven't been able to focus on, which has been business. I think I've nailed, you know, healing, a lot of things. But 2026 is going to be a different year. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys for the shares, the likes, the comments, the follows. I appreciate you guys sticking with us for over a year now. I can't believe we're here. This year has been a tough year, but a good year overall. Thank you guys for everything. I hope you guys love this episode. Leave us a review. If anything, stay tuned for episode 29. Love you guys.